Hello, Commissioner Burt here with your weekly roundup of NFL fantasy goodness. So, going to start off the Orion Bowl, Week 12, the greatest NFL fantasy league in the world. I know it, you know it, everyone involved in the league knows it. It's the drama, the intrigue. It's wonderful. So we had a lot of drama and intrigue in Week 11. So the Vinny Chase Award for Star of the Show, I was considering, by the way, just a little side note, Tyler Bass did a really good job for me, personally, the Baltimore Ravens at the weekend. Bearing in mind, he put up 21 points as a kicker, and it could have been more, to be fair, because the Bills went for 2 at one point. The Suns coach suggested that I maybe give Tyler Bass every position on the entourage for Week 11, but unfortunately, an awful lot of other players did really well as well, so I decided to just do it normally. So anyway, I digress. Star of the show, Joe Burrow, getting Legion to another win over the Harlots. Surprising win, that one. You know, obviously not for the Legion of Mixon, but because, you know, they always believe they can win. But the Harlots have been doing really well. They're the highest scoring on average team in our league at the moment, I believe. 113, I think, is the stat. And so a win over the Harlots, very, very impressive. The Johnny Drama Heavy Lifting Award goes to Derrick Henry, grabbing another consolation win for the Indianapolis Colts, who get a win over the Gorillas, who put up this week's lowest score, 67.88. They are starting to struggle a little bit. The Turtle, Better Than Expected Award, obviously has to go to Tyler Bass, kicker for the Buffalo Bills. As I said, 21 points from a kicker, so much better than expected, just like the character Turtle was way better than I expected him to be in Entourage. Could have been more as well, could have been more. The Ari Diversity Range Award, I very rarely have two players from the same team, and even rarer are they two players from my team. I have to put in Tony Pollard as well. Tony Pollard, he put up 30 points. Some of those receiving plays that he did were absolutely unreal. 30 points, driving me to a brilliant win over the Coach's Sons, who are the 9-2 team in our league this season, and the Baltimore Ravens are the 2 in 9-2. He even messaged me after the game, said, "You know what? You are a real number 2." Which made me laugh. And yeah. The E-Terribleness Award is going to one of the Coach's Sons players, Mr. Graham got no points. He got no points. Put up a fucking snake eyes, didn't he? What a piece of trash. Terrible, just like the character E from Entourage. And I've added an extra one this week because I tried to get a player for each team onto the picture. So the hot chick on the side of the picture on this Entourage this week is Travis Kelce, because who's hotter than Travis Kelce right now? Absolutely nobody. What an absolute star. Getting another win for Baby Got Dak as well. Shout out to Baby Got Dak, another good win there at the weekend. So, looking forward to Week 12, there are a couple of players. These are my fantasy players to note for Week 12. Rachaad White, he not only looked very promising last time out when obviously the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming off a bye week. So if you think back to before the bye week, he didn't put up spectacular numbers, but he got a lot of carries and he did really well with those carries. He made a lot out of a little. And Big Len is doubtful for this week, so Rachaad White will probably start as the lead back in Tampa Bay. Still available in 60% of leagues. He's also going to be running it against the Cleveland Browns, who statistically just give up an awful lot of points to the run. So that could, depending on what your situation is at running back, that's definitely worth looking at. Jeff Wilson for the Miami Dolphins. Raheem Mostert is out this week, so Wilson will get all of the production. All of it. They'll just keep feeding him, and he was putting up great numbers anyway, even when he was splitting the carries with Mostert. So with Mostert out, Jeff Wilson's a must start. Huh? See what I did there? Mostert to must start for Wilson? Yeah. So anyway, Geno Smith also, he's a quarterback that I really like. Geno Smith. I think he's done a really great job in Seattle. He's going to have a big week, but that's also going to lead to a big week for his number one wide receiver, who is DK Metcalf. I've got him down for 2 touchdowns this week. He is the most targeted red zone wide receiver in the league. That will eventually translate to touchdowns, and I think it translates to 2 touchdowns this week, mostly because he's playing against me, so obviously he's going to pop off when he's playing against me. Isaiah Pacheco is another one that, just to look at, I mean, he's going to serve as the lead back in Kansas City because obviously Clyde Edwards, hell yeah, has gone down with an injury. But for me, Kansas City don't use the run enough for me to think he's really worth scrambling to go and pick up. If you're desperate for a running back for whatever reason, maybe Pacheco's worth putting in because he probably is going to be the number one back in Kansas City, at least for the next few weeks. So my anytime touchdown bet this week, I'm doing my classic thing of picking all my opponent's players. I've even noted down DK Metcalf for ×2 to put it into this crazy, stupid accumulator. Mike Evans, Jalen Waddle, Derrick Henry and Najee Harris all to score any time. DK Metcalf to score 2. That's like 209 to 1, which is ridiculous odds. I have put an extra £1 bet on the 9 to 1 shot for DK Metcalf to get 2 because I do think that is likely. So let's have a look forward to week 12 in the Orion Bowl. So we'll start, obviously we've had quite a few games because we had Thanksgiving this week. Happy Thanksgiving to anybody watching from America. You know, hope it was a terrific day. Start off with the Baltimore Ravens against the Indianapolis Colts. So the surging Baltimore Ravens taking on a team that have found some form in the Indianapolis Colts. So we did have some players playing. He played Prescott, who I thought at the end of the game, it was those 2 interceptions that killed him. I thought at the end of the game that he was going to be on more than 14.84. I was quite surprised when I looked at the score. But yeah, it was those 2 interceptions. They really killed him off. Tony Pollard, he only put up 60 yards. He didn't get any love down the stretch. He got no love at all. I thought that when they were kind of winning the game and just running the game out, they'd give him a few more looks than that. Tyler Bass put up a respectable 8 points. So a 14 playing 16. It is first blood to the Indianapolis Colts, but you got to feel like he wanted a couple more from Prescott there. He definitely wanted a couple more from Dawson Knox. But for me, I do think that his players have got some really good matchups. Derrick Henry, Najee Harris, both decent matchups. Metcalf, I think he goes for a few. Waddle, I think he's definitely going to go for at least 1 touchdown against that Houston secondary. Mike Evans, again, playing against the Browns, so he's likely to go, and they're coming off a bye week as well, so they're going to be fresh as hell. I am streaming the Dolphins defense this week because, I mean, I do have the Philadelphia defense, who are like number 3 in the league, because they're just a solid week in, week out play, but the Dolphins are playing Houston, and they're playing Houston at home. So the Houston are just a dead team right now. So having said that, watch Houston, do really well. But for me, statistically, I think the Dolphins is a good defense to stream there. I picked up Taysom Hill because who is it that's out? I can't even remember who I had in there. Who did I have in there? Okay, who remembers? I've changed my team so much. I can't even remember who I had in there. But yeah, Taysom Hill was available, so I picked him up. And Jeff Wilson, obviously, he's a must start because Mostart is out. Tony Pollard already played. Deebo Samuel will only play if he's healthy, but I do have some good cover there in the form of Tyler Boyd, who the Harlots dropped, but he's got a lovely matchup against Tennessee. I'll be honest, I'm going to be checking Jamar Chase's status. If Chase is out, I am going to put Tyler Boyd in because he could rocket up the scores. Side note, I have finalised a trade agreement with the Dallas Trade Gorillas. I'm getting rid of Dante Foreman and Breece Hall. Breece Hall's a stud for next season, but the Gorillas, they wanted somebody who they could keep for next season, and their season is, they're not playing for the playoffs, I don't think. I mean, they could still theoretically make it, but I've decided to take Dalvin Cook off their hands just because they have got a pretty good run down the stretch. I don't think he's got a particularly good matchup next week against the Jets, but after that point, they have a relatively nice schedule. So, and we know what Cook is capable of. He hasn't done much this season, but we know what he is capable of. Anyway, back to this matchup this week. Honestly, I think that I could see the Indianapolis Colts winning this. Because, yeah, I just feel like the Metcalf matchup against the Raiders and Waddle against the Houston Texans and Mike Evans against Cleveland, I think it might be slightly too much. Although, Pat Mahomes, he has been saving me. Who knows? Who knows? I'd say, at a push, Indianapolis Colts are on a roll. They could definitely cause me some problems here. A little hiccup going into the playoffs. But it'll be an interesting one, to say the least. So, the Coach's Sons versus the Harlots. I don't know who, really, I want to win this one, because the Harlots could potentially bring the Coach's Sons back down with the rest of us. Just drag them in. Or I could kind of just, keep my head on top of the Harlots' head and just to keep me in that playoff position. So, I don't know. I mean, as long as if I win this week, which I think is, I know I'm playing the worst team in the league statistically, but actually their players are starting to come good, so it wouldn't surprise me for me to lose, which would make it irrelevant who wins it. Well, not irrelevant, but anyway. Jalen Hurts, McCaffrey's going to be dangerous against New Orleans for the Suns. Mari Cooper's been very good. Brown, Mark Andrews, James, Connor's a good play because he's going to be serving as very, very much the lead back. I think he got something like 86% of the snaps last week, so he's with Kyler Murray back, that's going to be a good play. But then on the other side, I do think that Geno Smith has a big game this week. Eckler as well, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill against Houston, that's a must play. Kittle's probably going to put up some big numbers against the New Orleans Saints. Jets D against Chicago, that's an interesting play. I don't know. It depends how the Jets do. Obviously, they've got quarterback problems, but that's their only problem, really. Other than that, they're a pretty good team. For me, looking at the matchups, I don't know. I'm going to lead towards the Harlots, actually, just because I do think that the Seahawks are going to do well this week. So, Geno Smith there, and you've got Tyreek Hill. Mate, he's going to be making big plays against Houston. I'm going to go with the Harlots. I'm taking the Harlots. Harlots to win. And then you've got Dallas Stray Gorillas versus Baby Got Dak. So you've got a few of them played this week. Josh Allen did some decent numbers, 29.92. Dalvin Cook, pretty pedestrian, 5.60. That's good news for my trade, isn't it? Gabriel Davis didn't do an awful lot. Mayer did okay. But then on the other side, you had Stephon Diggs, who did 13. Jefferson, who did 20.34. That is big first blood to Baby Got Dak, because the Gorillas played, 1, 2, 3, 4 players. And then from 2 players, Dak is only kind of 9 points behind. So for that reason, and looking at those matchups as well, he's got Sanders, Kelsey. Kelsey's been going for like 30 points a game. Etienne, Chubb, Herbert. Going with Baby Got Dak. Baby Got Dak's going to be putting a streak together. He's trying to get into I think he's already in that 4th-place playoff position, but he's been trading his way to a pretty good team. He does a lot of trades to his Baby Got Dak. It's like, I like it. I like all the action. So then you've got Legion of Mixon versus the team with no Namath. Now, Burrow, you've got starting for team with no name for Legion. Burrow, Mixon's out. He probably should replace him. Mostert's also out. So he's probably going to go with Robinson, I would guess. Actually, he's got a pretty nice matchup against Atlanta. I don't hate that. Put Robinson in for Mixon, because Mixon is out. Aaron Jones as well for Green Bay. Tyler Lockett, that's a good play. I think the Seahawks have a good game this week. McLaurin for Washington, very good. Montgomery for the Bears. I don't know. The Jets are quite good against the run. That's one problem. Patriots D has already played. They stunk the place up. Who else played? Schultz as well. Schultz put up 15 points for you. So that's really good, actually, because tight ends have been trash this year. Absolutely trash. Then you've got Lamar Jackson, Jacobs, Taylor, Jonathan Taylor's really come into form. Godwin, CD Lamb put up 11.70. That's pretty good. Then you've got Carter, the wide receiver in the flex. Myers. Chiefs D against LA. Not sure about that. The Chiefs D tend to let up points, but then their offense just puts up more points. That's generally the way that they play. I think, I don't know. It's a tough one. Because Mixon is out, that's one of his big stars. I'm going to have to lean towards the team with no Namath to get the win there over a diminished legion of Mixon minus the Mixon. So that's all I've got time for this week. So all those that I've picked for, prove me right. All those that I picked against, prove me wrong. And we'll see how all this lands and see who's making a run for the playoffs in the closing weeks of the season. Enjoy.